welcome to another exciting episode of the Dreaded Archer Podcast. I'm your host Trey Reed, and today we got one of my favorite people in the world, definitely top five favorite people in the world, Mr. John David Blagg. John David, how you doing today?
I'm doing so good, man. I'm so happy to be here. When I saw you pop up, you wanted to do a podcast with me. I couldn't wait to do it, man.
Oh, dude,
I couldn't wait to.
I've been thinking about it. Matter of fact, when you hit me up and was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it." I like call my mom, like, "Hey, I got John David Blagg."
Whatever. And you also said this gonna be real exciting. I live up to it.
Oh, dude, it's always exciting, man. It's always
I
exciting.
might have a kid. I might have a kid or somebody run through here in a minute. That'll make it exciting.
Hey, it's real, man. We live real life.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, it's wild, man. Because I was sitting here like yesterday writing my notes and stuff, and I got to thinking like, I so like, what am I going like? What are we gonna talk about? Like, I know what I told him we are gonna talk about, but we gonna go on a whole tangent, man. It's
Bro,
been,
me and you can talk about a lot. We
dude,
got a lot to catch up on.
it's been a minute. Like, I don't think
It
I've
has been a
talked to
minute.
you. I haven't talked to you since I think I went off to college.
Yeah, since you went to college.
It's been that long, and I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, dog,
Yeah, man.
it's been a
Because
minute.
I was helping with the youth group, and you were real involved in the youth group. And then I think I saw you maybe like one other time when I came home. But man, it's been forever,
Oh
and I'm
yeah,
proud of it. You've been crushing it.
I've been trying to, man. I was
Yeah.
talking to Nick yesterday, and I was like, bro, I was like, it's wild talking to John David because I remember going to the locker room back to Pleasant Grove, and they had your picture up, you at SMU, and you on the football field. You know what I'm saying? Your picture. I'm like, I'm gonna be there one day.
You
Hey,
did.
I'm gonna be up there one day. You know what I'm saying? It's all the other guys. I'm like, I'm gonna be up there one day, and but I always look at that picture, your picture, because I want to go to SMU. You know what I'm saying? Like right out of school, I'm like that's where I want to
Mhm.
go. And Nick was like, he told me when I was in the third grade I was gonna go to SMU. I was
I
like,
did. I don't think it was so much prophetic as I was just trying to get him hyped up. But gosh, dog, man, I've always loved y'all's family, and I'm so proud of y'all and how y'all turned out. Y'all just crushed it, and just awesome dudes, and you've just been solid. And I'm just so proud of you, man.
oh,
I give you a big old bear hug
I know, right?
to this
I
all the way
know
from
one.
South Dakota to Arkansas.
Oh yeah, man. Have you ever been to South Dakota?
No, I sure hadn't. Several of our guides that work for us, they run through South Dakota. They start in Canada and they come down. But no, man, I haven't. Just because I'm so limited and I know we'll get to what I do, but when our season is in, I'm there for 3.5 months. So I don't really go a lot of extra places except for turkey season. I will travel to kill a tom turkey, but when our waterfowl season's over, I'm at home. I'm coaching football and baseball and basketball and running kids around and hanging out with my wife.
Oh, you doing the family thing, man, the dad thing.
That's right, bud. That's
You,
right.
you got to, man. Whenever you got to have a healthy balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
So, are you down in Arkansas or you in
So
Texas?
I'm in
Where you at?
Fayetteville. I live in Fayetteville, and then our lodge, our operation is in north central Oklahoma. So it was. I'm sure we'll get into that, but I'm in Oklahoma I'm about to head over next week. So November 1st through middle of February. And then we run snow goose hunts down in southeast Arkansas around my family's farm in Dumas. And so we send about half of our guides split off and leave and go to Arkansas and when February 1 hits. And then the rest of us stay at Fowlco and finish out our goose season, excuse me. Yeah. And so then I come home and I'm home and I'm home until turkey season. Then I like to go, chase those turkeys.
Take some time.
Okay, all right. I quit it all. I quit it all. Just turkey hunt. I tell you that right now.
Hey, the turkeys here in
I had
South
a
Dakota.
dream last night. I had a dream last night about a turkey that I did not kill that I should have killed last year, and I had 3 opportunities, and I'm gonna kill his butt next year. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not dreaming about waterfowl season. I love waterfowl hunting. Don't get me wrong. Like I freaking love it. That's like what I grew up on. That's really what started my passion for hunting was watching my dad do that. But my dad was also a savage turkey hunter. So I, you know, that was his favorite, and undoubtedly it became my favorite.
You know, the South Dakota turkeys have been kicking my tail the last
They'll
like
do that.
3 seasons, man. Like the first year, like 3 years ago, I went. I had a shotgun tag. This is before the dreaded archer. This is
Yeah.
I was just hunting anything I could put down and eat. I was doing it. So went out, walked the creek, and turkey just jumped up. I don't know if it was a hen or a tom, but here it didn't matter during that hunt. Wow, it was a hen. Boom, good to go. I was good. I was happy. The
Yeah.
next year, that's when I started the archery, and I was gonna spot and stock a turkey because I thought you could. I'm like, I'm like, I'm like,
Oh man, I've been busted by so many turkeys. Maybe you, but my big butt, I like a moose walking through the woods, dude. If I tried to spot and stalk a turkey, I'd like be walking through fence, have fence hung up on me or something. I don't know. I wouldn't. I'm not
I
stealthy.
I thought like, what? I've spotted stock deer. I can spot and stock a turkey. So I see like 6 turkeys down this field. So I like walk down. I'm same by the same creek. I come up and they're like gone. So I'm like, where'd they go? So as I'm walking, I see one pop his head up on like the tree line. Like, all right, that's where they are. So I'm making my way, but I get to the tree line and nothing. So I'm like, oh, they gone. All of a sudden, 2 turkeys, they jump up, and I just drop my bow, take off. I didn't know what had jumped out those bushes,
You didn't know
and
what you just flushed up.
no,
Yeah,
not at all.
they're
So
loud when they take off.
I dipped out.
Yeah,
So
it's funny, dude.
this year I'm out. I'm south of town. I'm sitting at the base of a tree, and in front of me there's like a little divot, like little hill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking. I'm like, but it's still kind of dark. I'm like, that looked like a turkey head. So every once in a while it would be there and then be gone. So it's finally the sun comes up. I'm looking. I don't see anything, and I'm still watching, and all of a sudden I see, whoop, and pop back down. I'm like, oh, that's a tom. Knock an arrow, range. All right, 30 yards. That's an easy chip shot, full draw. And it was like, as soon as I go to full draw, it's like he knew, and he just flew away. I didn't know they could fly like that. I thought they had to like get like a running start
Dude.
and then
Oh.
and then go.
No, my dad always said if turkeys could smell, we would never kill them. And I believe me, he's right. You know, their eyesight is so keen. I mean, they have the keenest eyesight and hearing in the woods, period, hands down. And you know, like you can be 400 yards from a turkey, and you know, if you call and he cuts you off, even at 300 yards, he knows the tree you're sitting under. I
Oh,
mean, they're crazy. And so, you know, I always have people who are like, turkey hunting's easy. I just go out to the woods over there and I shoot the turkey. I'm like, well, you're doing something I'm not, and I've turkey hunted my whole life. So they're a little tougher than you think. They'll humble you quick.
oh yeah, like this like it's like the second or last time I went out this season. It was like I stepped out my car, and as soon as my foot hit the ground, I heard. "Bloop, bloop, 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 bloop." I'm like, they laughing at me like, this dude came back. We know
Yep.
he ain't
Uh-huh.
killing nothing.
We laughing at him.
a
I
lot
love
of
it.
a lot of my turkey hunts turned into deer scouting.
Yeah. Hey, no kidding. Because you walk a lot through the woods. Mine does too. Seriously.
Yep.
Especially in new woods that I hadn't been in. That's when I start going, oh man, there's an old rub line right here. Or, you know, this is where a bunch of trails come together. You know, this would be a good spot to hunt. And anyway, you know, you're right. You're right. I do too.
Oh yeah, I got my Onyx maps, and I'm this is a good tree right here, good tree. So yeah, it turns into scouting trip.
Well, what did we do before Onyx maps? What did we do before Onyx?
Hey, I started hunting, it was Onyx. So I don't know what they did before. But as soon
I
as I
forget
started hunting, it was there.
you're a baby. I forget you're a baby.
I'm new to this, man. 4 years in, man. 4 years in, but I'm
I
loving
love
every
it.
bit of it, man.
I'm so
Hey, so
glad you
before
are.
we really get like
Okay.
into it, let the people know a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. My name's John David Blagg. I grew up in Texarkana, Texas, at Pleasant Grove. Me and Trey went to the same high school. I was quite a bit older than him. My family's originally from Southeast Arkansas, and that plays into the story. My family farms down there, and my dad was a duck guide. So he took people hunting. So my life growing up, my dad farmed, my whole family farmed, and my dad was a duck guide. So, that was lived out in front of me, my whole life, because I was back and forth. I went to school and, everything in Texarkana. My mom moved to Texarkana, but but all my friends in Dumas stayed my friends, and all my friends in Texarkana stayed my friends. So I had kind of two worlds that I was able to operate in. So anyway, yeah, man, went played football. As Trey was talking about, in high school we played the same high school, and I was blessed enough to get to go play college level at SMU, where his brother Nick played. And anyway, I mean, man, now I run a waterfowl guide operation, a commercial guide operation called Fowlco Outfitters in north central Oklahoma. And this is our 6th season. And man, we are just blessed. I mean, I would say it's an anointed place, man. I mean, God has had a really cool ministry at that place. And that's what we prayed that it would be. We're not necessarily a Christian lodge, but it's kind of hard not to talk about what you're passionate about when you're with these guys in the mornings and the beautiful sunrise is coming up, or there's a fog, or the sunsets out west in Oklahoma, man. You can just see forever, and they're so beautiful. So, man, before that, I had a construction company, so I did construction for about 15 years up here in Northwest Arkansas after football, and I was fortunate enough to sell that this past year. And, I told my wife when I was doing construction while we were about to start Fowlco, I just told her, I said, I'm about to do something that I'm passionate about, like really passionate about. And, the two things that I'm very passionate about is building relationships and hunting. That's it.
Yeah,
And
it's good.
I joke, I say, man, I really do feel like God created me to build relationships and hunt. I mean, so that's what we're doing, man. And it's been fantastic. It's been such a blessing, and just I mean, me and my two partners, we still pinch ourselves that we get to do that for a living. Really thankful.
Oh, dude, that's like the goal, man. Like when I started the Dreaded Archer, like I'm like, eventually I want this to be my job. I want to be able to have a couple thousand acres and just take people out and hunt. People who've
Yep.
never even thought about hunting, like
That's
put a
right.
bow in their hand, put a rifle in their hand, and just have them just experience it at least one time in their life. You know what I'm saying? And the fact
Yeah.
that you get to do it, the fact that you get to do your passion for a living, man. I got applause to you, man. Applause to you.
Hey, you're doing it. You're doing it. And I'll say this about you, Trey. Same thing, dude. You want to play college football, you go play college. I mean, like, you're doing it. And you're gonna do it, because that's you're the type of person, you got that drive, and nobody's gonna stop you. You're gonna do it.
All right, man. I'm gonna try to, man. But it's wild because I've known you for a while, and I had
Hmm.
no idea that you were even a hunter at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like when,
Well, because I did the music thing,
yeah,
so like I forgot to mention that I was in a band based out of Texarkana called Pilot Drift, man, with some of my good buddies that we played in the church band together and youth group. And man, did that for like, I don't know, 5 6 years, and it was 5 years. It was so fun, man. That was another dream. I got to tour around and play all the famous venues, and I mean that was a blast. So I think you just say that my life consists of a bunch of risk taking. Like, I just went for it. You know what I mean? Not really knowing what I'm doing, just going for it. And if you're passionate about something like that and you put everything into it and you have the drive, you know, sometimes it works out. Music thing didn't work out, but I had a blast doing it, and I learned a lot, even about business. And that kind of carried over into the construction stuff, funny enough. And then my business knowledge I learned from that, just, from the street of hard, through hard knocks. I just kind of learned business, and then that carried over into this business, Fowlco, and so here we go.
You know, I thought, hey, whenever I heard Apollo Drip, hey, y'all were famous to me. Y'all were like,
Yeah,
y'all were right up there with like Dave Matthews Band to me.
yeah,
It was hometown boys. I'm like, hey, that's Apollo Drip. Like, that's a
that's right.
that's that,
That's right.
that's Grammy nominated stuff right there.
That T Town famous band,
Exactly.
almost, almost famous, almost made it. Didn't
Hey,
quite.
do y'all ever get together and still play?
Oh man, I talked to those guys, but no, we don't ever. No, man, I'm busy now.
Right.
I was on tour with a band called Guster in California, and when my wife and I found out we were pregnant, and that was the last, that was it, the last one. And no, man, I'm doing kids and sports, and I mean it's a whole new fun experience. They're getting older, and they're at a perfect age, man. My oldest daughter is 13, my middle daughter is 10, and 11. Sorry, 10, and then my youngest son is 8. So I got two girls and a boy, and they're at a sweet age right now where I'm still cool and they want to hang out with me. So I'm trying to take advantage of that.
Oh, you got to take full advantage of it before they get to age.
Yeah,
All right, Dad, you're not cool no more.
yeah.
Yep.
I got to really soak it in.
Oh yeah. So like, do your kids go out and do they hunt with you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. This year, so my oldest daughter, she's killed a bunch of deer and stuff. Middle daughter, she likes to go and eat snacks, and I'm all about that life too. So we do that. But my boy Bear, his name is Bear, and he is eat up with it. And last year, he killed probably a total of about 7 or 8 geese and one duck on the youth hunt. And I didn't think he killed it, but I thought my buddy had shot it. So it was a youth and veteran hunt, and my buddy was a veteran that was with us. And he started going, "Good shot, Bear." And I was like, "Man, you don't have to do that. He's like old enough now. If he missed it, we can tell him he missed it." And he goes, "No, I'm serious. My duck is dead over here, and his is dead right here." And I was like, "You're right. There was 2 shots." So I mean, it was a confirmed kill, and we got it mounted in his room. I mean, he's eat up with it. He carried that duck around all day. He didn't let it go. He just carried it around by the neck, showing everybody his duck at the lodge. He was carrying it in the lodge, like, "Look at my duck."
Hey,
It
that's
was
what it's all
fun.
about, man. Creating those memories.
Oh, like you were talking about, like the light coming on.
Yep.
People that have never gotten to experience it. We see that a lot at Falco because we hunt a lot of people from New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco. They've never been able to experience it. And then when they experience it, it's like something that was in them that they didn't know, that God put in there, that they didn't know was in there. And then they experience it and they're like, "I'm supposed to be doing this. Like this is right. And it's cool when that light comes on, man. Those are my favorite clients that we have.
Oh, that's how Nick was, and I wish that I would have had a camera. That first year that him and my dad came up to hunt here in South Dakota, like my dad, he put down a monster like opening day done for it. It was. We'll talk about that hunt later on, but it was
Okay.
crazy. So Nick, now he saw the deer that my dad killed, so he's like, I got to get something either the same or better.
He's
So he
competitive.
Yeah, he's been
Hmm.
picky. He had shot that nice deer that he just let walk, and I'm like, hey, we ain't hunting high fence, bro. Like you gotta you gotta get what you get, or you gonna leave with nothing.
That's
So
right.
it's the last day, like maybe 20 minutes before last light. I look over in the blind, and he's sitting there. He got his arms crossed, and I can see the steam coming out of him. Like I didn't took all this time off work. I I didn't paid all this money for this tag. I didn't get nothing. So he pretty hot. So this little bitty spike comes walking up the fence line. So I'm like, you can get him. So he shoots at him and misses. Spike runs off. Now he's like, bro, I'm done. I goes, let's go. Let's go back to the house. I was like, all right. So we're grabbing the stuff. He gets out the blind and he stops. Now I'm getting all my stuff, and I look and he's like got his hand and he's like reaching to me like, yo, give me the rifle. So I'm like, what are you looking at? I look out, I don't see nothing. So I just give him the gun, like, here you go. And he leans up against the tree and I still don't see what he's looking at. All of a sudden I see his leg start shaking. You know, like when you scratch a dog and it's a
Uh-huh.
good spot, his leg gets to
Oh, I
shaking.
know. I know where he's at right now.
So I'm like, oh, he sees something big. And then I hear, wow, gunshot. And it's like normally I thought if he hit him, he's gonna celebrate, but he doesn't say nothing at all. And then my dad, he's in the blind a couple yards away, and he comes like running. He's like, "What happened? What happened?" And Nick's over there just like,
Still froze up.
just still he well froze up, but
Uh,
he got the shakes.
uh, 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 uh,
And I'm like, I still don't see what he got. So we give the deer some time, and then we go over on our way to get the deer. He's like, bro, he a monster. I'm like, yeah, you don't know what a monster is. You don't, what I'm saying? You think he a monster. Cause we got cameras all over that farm, and there was only one monster on that farm that we had saw, and my dad had shot that joker already.
uh-huh.
We get to him, and
Was this in the rut?
this is in rut, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So we get to it, and I'm like, oh snap, and he's like, he loses it, just going crazy, and that light came, and as soon as he grabbed those
Uh-huh.
antlers, it was just like he was like, yo, like we gotta do this every year. We gotta do this
Mm,
every year, man.
mm.
He goes, man, I've played football in front of thousands of people, and nothing caps this feeling right here. And it
He's
was,
right.
dude. Ever since then, he's been just die hard. He don't even want to hunt rifle no more. I got him a bow for his birthday, and then he got to meet John Dudley at the Total Archery Challenge this year. So now
Yeah.
he's all bow hunt. He's he's just ready to
Did
go.
you go? So you went to the Total Archery Challenge?
I've been the last 2 years in a row, dude. I
I
love
got a lot of friends that are up there at that deal. That's
it.
awesome.
It's crazy. Like I go to the one here in South Dakota, but I want to go to the one in Big Sky, and I want to go to the
Uh-huh.
one in
That's where my
Colorado.
buddies go.
Big Sky is the big one. That's the
Hmm.
one that everybody goes to. And
So now Nick's hooked. He's
so
done.
Nick think he a pro. If you talk to
Yeah,
him
of
archery,
course. Yeah.
he think he is the bee's knees.
Hmm. Trey
And
don't know anything.
no, and
Come ask me.
yeah,
Yeah.
ask him. He
Uh-huh.
that's it. Like, he's all about it, and I'm just like it's just like super exciting, and like the one reason like I really like kind of got stuck with hunting is me, Nick, and our dad. We kind of had like a real strained relationship. It was real
Hmm.
weird, and that was like when I invited him up. That was like, all right, this is gonna be our trip to try to like mend this relationship,
Yeah, I love it.
and it did, and like they're getting ready to come up. Uh, Here in about 3 weeks, they'll be here, and it's gonna be whenever the Reeds come to South Dakota, we tear it up, man.
Praise the Lord, man. I love that, dude. I love that. And the cool thing about that is the Lord's what's fixing that relationship through his
Exactly.
creation, and allowing y'all to get out and like experience something new together. And I love that, man. That's what it's about.
Oh, dude,
Love
I love it, man.
it. Yeah.
It's definitely it brought me out of a dark place after football hunting. If I
Hmm.
don't know, like you say, I've never thought about walking into an archery shop, and I used to drive by one every day working, and I never went into it. And one day it was something was like, "Yo, go in there," and I just went in and met the owner, and it was like, "Hey, let's get you a bow." I had no intentions of buying one at all.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see what it was, and it's kind of all formed into this. I get to meet a lot of cool people, talk to people, and
Dude, that's awesome.
share my story and listen to other people's stories.
I love it, man. I love it.
So, do
I,
you do any archery hunting?
I love it, man. I just got back from archery elk hunt in Colorado with a buddy of mine. Well, I say just got back. We were there end of September. So the last week of archery season, uh, we were out around Crested Butte. We did the whole. I mean, we did the deal. It was self-guided. My buddy that I went with is, I would say, a professional. He was a SEAL Team 7 officer,
Mm.
And so he was a Navy SEAL from like 2002 to 2013, so in the middle of the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And um, one of the toughest dudes I know on this planet, hands down. His name's Stephen Hawley, and he's just a dear friend of mine. And he's been asking me to go. And through that, I learned, again, just another example of healing in God's creation. Stephen said that's what he kind of says. He was, I guess, living a heavy metal song for that many years over there being a Navy SEAL. And it's the thing that he really put his passion into was elk hunting. And so I got to go experience that with him this September, and it was fantastic. But I've always loved to bow hunt, but I have literally always wanted to kill an elk, and I was not successful, but I will be. I'm going back. I had one at 10 yards at my back. I could feel him breathing, and I couldn't turn around on him. And pretty frustrating, but the trip was fantastic and an incredible time together. And like I said, I keep saying that God's creation, but there's that's kind of that hunt embodies everything that I love, though. It's got the fitness aspect,
Yep.
the mountains, the scenery is just unbelievable, especially that time of year. And then it's essentially like your turkey hunting, which is my favorite, an 1,100-pound animal.
Right.
So, so it's got everything that I love wrapped up into one thing. So it was awesome. But yeah, I do love the bow hunt.
Yeah. I went elk hunting last September. Me and my buddy Rex, and he's gone with his dad several times, and he's like, "Yo, you got to go at least once." And watching all these hunting shows on TV, you like, I want to do that, but you think it's super expensive, and he's like, "Nah, man, we're gonna do over the counter. We just gonna go." And we almost got lucky. The like 5 minutes in, we had a 6x6 walk up on us, but we had a guy on a 4-wheeler spook him. And then later on in the afternoon, I had one at 30 yards, but he just wouldn't come from behind a tree. I could have
Hmm.
probably shot through the branches, but I was like, it's not an ethical shot. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I
But
like that.
one of those things is something you just said. It's like being in God's creation. We were sitting on the side of a hill, and it's glassing,
Hmm.
and it's probably like I don't know, maybe like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Sun's just coming up, and I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, anybody who says that none of this was like had hand created, they gotta be out of
Hmm.
they gotta be out of their mind because this is like for people listening. If you've never sat on the side of a mountain watching the sun come up and looking at
Hmm.
all the different animals moving around, just being in their environment, you gotta do that. It brings everything full circle. You're like, yeah, there was definitely a creation that happened, and
Yeah,
all this was placed here with a plan, and
yeah.
it's one of the it brings peace. It's I don't know what it's
You're
I
right, man. I
it's
love that you
kind of
said
weird.
that.
But yeah, it's bring
I
peace.
love that you said that. Well, that and because when you're in God's creation, you can't help but know that there was an immovable mover that pushed this thing into motion and
Exactly.
created it. It didn't come from potential energy, homie. I can tell you that. Like I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. I'm
No,
putting my
not at
eggs in the
all.
basket of there was a loving God that created this thing for us, for us. And it's in the scripture. I mean, like it was created for us. And so, yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And that's why I think that brings healing. It brings peace. It gives you peace. If you're stressed out at work and you get out in the mountains, you don't have cell phone service. You don't have that stupid phone attached to you going ding, ding, ding. You can't help but kind of center yourself. And yeah, you're right, man. It does something that other places can't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's funny you say the thing about the cell phone. I believe that when we're in modern society, you got all the Wi-Fi signals, the cell phone signals,
Hmm.
stuff from satellites. Now, I feel like it's all bogged down on us. It
Hmm.
has to have some kind of effect on our body. But when
Hmm.
you're out in the mountains, like we were down in Montrose, in Colorado,
Oh yeah.
and we're out there, in the wilderness, it felt like I swear it felt like 10 pounds just like lifted off my shoulders. And I'm like, dude, I feel like lighter.
Yeah.
pep in my step. I don't know what it was. Like you hear the water running. It
Mm-hmm.
being away from everything, and then when it gets dark, you can see the stars. It's just like,
Mm.
man, this is what it's all about. This is what we're supposed to be doing
Yep. It is. It is. I love it.
for sure. So, how did Falco come about?
Yeah, man. So kind of like I was telling you, I was doing construction, had a residential construction company, and it just I was good at it because, like I said, I love to build relationships. So I was good at it because of my relational skills, but it wasn't like checking the box for me. I didn't feel like I was waking up every day going, all right, God, like I know this is exactly what you've created me to do. And so fortunately, I have a wife that's amazing and way wiser than I am and just a total bad A. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh
She
yeah,
just is. She's just awesome, man. I'm not gonna cuss on here,
no,
but I will cuss talking about her about how awesome she is
oh
because
yeah. Hey,
that's how
you
awesome
can,
she
man.
is.
You can. This is hey, it's
But
all
yeah, right, but she was super supportive, and I think she saw that in me, and so I had it in my mind that I wanted to start a duck lodge, and I had been guiding part time for a place in Southeast Arkansas called Wildlife Farms with a good buddy of mine from up here, one of my best buddies, who is now one of my partners at Fowlco. And you know, I had kind of shared with him my desire and what I'd love to do, really my dream. And he had the same dream. He was like, and he really did. He went to school with tourism, parks, and recreation, something like that. That was his degree from Colorado State uh, and in Gunnison there, Western State. Sorry, um, and uh, and I knew that he wanted to do it as well. And then I kind of shared with him like I'm with you, like let's do this. So we have another friend. So we kind of decided we were going to do it. We had another friend named Josh Teff. So let me go back. His name is Aaron Seifritz, uh, originally from Pine Bluff. His granddaddy is a famous Arkansas game and fish commissioner, probably the most famous in the history of Arkansas. Did more for the WMAs and waterfowl areas and turkeys. Did more for wildlife in Arkansas than any other commissioner. And so he had developed a passion through the outdoors with his granddaddy. Uh, so Aaron and I are on board, and we have another friend named Josh Teff who was working at a rod and gun club. It was like a country club for people that like to fish, fly fish, and hunt. And he was the general manager of that place. And we had gone to, we were went to church together, but it was a big church and we didn't really know each other. But everybody would always come up to me and go, "Hey, you're buddies with Josh Teff, aren't you?" And I was like, "Man, you're like the 400th person that's asked me that." No, I'm not, but I need to be. And the same with him. People would always come up to him and go, "You're buddies with John David, right?" Anyway, we're sitting there one day. I'm taking my son in to get a haircut. Me and him getting haircuts at the barbershop. And Josh is in there with his boy. And I was like, "You're Josh Teff." And he was like, "You're John David." So we start talking. Ended up, we become hunting buddies. And he had kind of mentioned to me that he'd like to do something. So now, fast forward, me and Aaron, the original guy that I got it with in Southeast Arkansas, we're turkey hunting in Oklahoma. And we have 3 tom turkeys gobbling at us coming in. I mean, they're like 75 yards. And if you're turkey hunting and you've got them coming in, when they're at 75, dude, I mean, they could be there in a second. You got to
exactly.
be still, I mean, when they cut you off those first few times, you put the calls down, you get your gun up because they coming. Well, Aaron leans around the tree and he goes, "Hey, you need to text Josh Teff right now." And I was like, "I'm not texting Josh Teff, but there's 3 turkeys coming in here." He's like, "Text him now." And I was like, "My gosh." He goes, "Dude, I've never felt anything like this. I feel like God's telling me we need to text Josh Teff right now." So I text Josh Teff, "Can you have lunch Monday?" This is on Saturday. And he said, "Yeah." We end up killing 2 of the 3 turkeys. I had to throw that in there. We did kill 2
Right.
turkeys. Yeah. Uh, so the following Monday, we go have lunch, and we kind of share our, individually what we would love to do. We all had the same desire and same passion. We left that meeting with the name Fowlco, uh, and we started an LLC. And then it was kind of like, where are we going to do it? Well, it makes sense for us to do it in Southeast Arkansas because of my dad's connection. My dad ran a high-end place in Southeast Arkansas, and Aaron's granddaddy was a game and fish commissioner, famous one. So it made sense for us to go do it in Arkansas. And Josh kept saying, we need to go to North Central Oklahoma. And I was like, man, I'm from the duck capital of the world.
They duck hunt
We don't
Oklahoma?
need to, we don't, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. They duck hunt in Oklahoma? Like, oh, like where? There's no water. Anyway, so he was just like set on it. You got to come out there. You got to experience it. But I do feel like we need to do it out there because nobody's done it. And there were guys guiding out there, but what we were talking about doing is building a big facility and creating an experience, like where people can come in and eat 5-star food and have a 5-star lodge and 5-star room and board, all that stuff, man. And so anyway, he finally convinced us to go out there, and we had, I mean, a year of just like the best hunting I've ever had since I was a little kid. And so at that moment, I knew we can do this. We can sell this. And so we did, man. We prayed about the land we were going to get, and we started going look. The first piece of property we looked at is the one we ended up buying, and we could see the vision. I mean, we just got there, and it was like God said, "This is where you're going to do it." I'm like, "All right." So now we got to figure out how to pay for it because it was going to be a lot. So we start reaching out to people, and we had a couple people that said, "Man, I'll fund it. Don't worry about it. We'll do it like a loan." Well, anyway, we had one guy said, "Go build your dream lodge. Don't treat it like a loan. Don't worry. You ain't got to worry about paying me back quick. Just go do it. Do it right." And so that was just another example of God, his just affirmation that we were doing the right thing.
Right.
So we did, man. So we had our meeting in April. We bought our land in November of that same year. We started construction April the following year, and it was completely done and completely 100% booked and ready for hunters that waterfowl season. So again, like you said, like we're talking about creation, there's somebody that created this. We couldn't have done all that on that timeline without God moving the pieces and going, that's exactly, yep, nope, that contractor can be there on time. He can get it done. Everything. Nope, I'm going to fill the whole calendar up. I mean, that's another thing. We're going to a new place in Oklahoma and expecting people to want to come over to Oklahoma and hunt with us. Joker was full first year. And so from that moment, we knew that when I said earlier, I feel like it's ordained, just through organic relationships that we've created over there. We've had probably 7 people come to Christ at our lodge, out by our fire pit out back. And, I mean, it's one thing when you get to go somewhere nice and shoot mallards in the face, which we love to do. But then you have people coming to know Jesus and changing the trajectory of their lives. That is something, that's what really fires the 3 owners up. That's what fires us up, is that right there. So it's been a blessing.
Oh yeah, man. Like that's when you have people coming to Christ, even if you don't kill ducks that week, the fact that somebody is getting introduced to the Lord,
Mm,
that's a win right there.
yeah.
And
Oh God, it's the biggest win.
oh, it's the biggest win. Yeah,
But
exactly.
but we do like to shoot mallards really close, right in the face.
Right.
We like to do that too.
Gonna do that
Don't
too.
get it twisted. We love Jesus more than anything, and we love that He gave us mallard ducks and geese that we can shoot in the face real close.
Exactly. I was reading a magazine article, and they asked you, what's your favorite quote, or not favorite, what are words you live by, and you said God has already won the battle. So you got to live life to the fullest. It was something to that extent, you know. And I'm like, and that's listening to what you just said about how you guys got started. That's all y'all did. Y'all just put your trust in the Lord and like, you know what, everything's gonna play out. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Everything's
right.
gonna play out, and that's one
And
of the things.
sometimes it doesn't. And
Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't. But you know what? I mean, like Paul, like I mean, we'll get a little heavy here, but Paul, when he run into a roadblock, he didn't stop and go, "Well, I guess God didn't want me to keep going." No, dude, he kept going. And then finally, I mean, he didn't like it. This isn't the prosperity gospel stuff. He ended up where he was supposed to be in prison, right? But
yep,
he got there because he kept taking steps. He kept taking steps and trusting that God's gonna, hey, God loves me more than I know my plans for my life. So he's gonna put me where I need to be, you know? And
exactly.
that's what he did for us, dude. I mean, that's what he's done. I truly feel that. And so it's true, man. God's won. You know, when you are in him, it's game over. Like you get to kind of live your life in a celebratory way,
Right.
right? Because ain't nothing holding us, but what's death? I mean, like, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I meant by that. I love that quote. And it's, you know, when the world, like you were talking about technology, when everything's just pressing in on you, you got to remember that he's already won.
Yep.
Keep
It,
going.
hey, my mom, she's she all like I know anytime that I'm not talking to her or not talking to her, but like I'm out doing something, I know she's at home. You know, she praying for like, hey,
Hmm.
make sure you cover them in your grace and all that. I know she is, and she always talks to me. She's like, hey, what's your plan for this? Especially when I was getting ready to move to South Dakota, like, what's your plan? I don't know. She's like, you need to pray about it. Because at first I wasn't going to move here. Like I was like, I'm leaving my daughter in Texarkana.
Hmm.
Is this the right move? And I prayed about it, got my answer. Even when I was going to college, should I go to Naval Academy? Prayed about it. That's where you go. Now, what?
Hmm.
Now, it was not the plan for me to graduate from there because I didn't. I ended up leaving,
Hmm.
but it put stuff in motion for me to get to where I need to get, meet the people I need to get, and to get me to where I am now. It's just kind of
That's right.
all seemed to be like a plan. You know what I'm saying? And like my mom, she pushes me so much, and like I'm glad that she like kept me in the church because there was some times in my life
Hmm.
where I was like, you know, I I can't make it. Yeah, I know it
Hmm.
sounds weird to say, but like when I got hurt, I was like, this is it. Like there's this is not the plan, but it wasn't my plan,
That's
but my
right.
plan,
It
my
was
plan
a
to
part of his plan.
it was part of his plan, yeah. And it's just like you gotta just keep trucking, when
Yeah.
things get hard. And so I Paul is one of my favorite, chapters in the Bible because it's like his journey is just wild.
Hmm. Hmm. It's real wild.
Oh
But you're
yeah.
right, man. I mean, I was the same place. You know, when I got hurt, I was like, well, that's it.
Yep.
You know, what do I do now? And then I look back, hindsight now, I'm going, man, you gave me experiences, God, and you let me meet the people that I needed to meet to be right here, right?
Right.
Even through like divorce, my parents getting divorced. Like even through that, I wouldn't have moved to Texarkana and had the opportunity to go play at SMU, or you know what I mean? So I mean, everything that the enemy tries to throw at us, those darts he tries to throw at us, God is constantly taking those. If you're in him, he's constantly taking those and going, nope, I'm gonna make that new. I'm gonna show
Exactly.
you. I'm gonna show you because I'm gonna turn something good out of it.
So when people come to Falco Outfitters, like what can they expect?
It's a
Or
good question, dude.
what's the experience like?
Yeah, man. So you come and our chef is actually from Texarkana, a guy named Brian Pilgreen from Redwater. And dude, he is just lights out. He's probably the best duck guide at Falco, but he wants to cook. And we let him because he's the best cook I've ever been around in my life. And all of our clients would say that too. So you show up. So usually it's a minimum of a 2-day hunt. So you show up after 3 the first day, and we have a big 5 stand, a skeet shooting range. and we love to get, it has stadium lights, which is really cool because it can get dark early out there. So we can flip those lights on and get all the guys, that new guys out there with our guides and everybody, and we start visiting and hanging out. But what we're doing is we're watching them handle a gun, and we're watching them. Do they even know how to load a gun? Do they do they have do they have good safety awareness? Are they putting their gun back on safety every time they get done shooting? And so we can identify those guys that aren't good at it and say, hey, so and so, you need to be with him tomorrow and watch him and just help him. You know, we don't make you feel like an idiot. Right. You know, that's the I don't get mad often, but if one of my guys ever made a client feel stupid for not knowing how to do something, we about to have a serious talk when we get done with the hunt.
Right.
And so, because that can be an intimidating atmosphere to step into if you're not a hunter, right? So we want those guys to feel like, dude, you don't know how to do it. It's all good. This is what's awesome. I get to show you. And so they show up at 3:00. We go shoot. We have some appetizers and everything ready. They go have a drink and eat a wonderful dinner. And then we wake up in the morning, the next morning, and we'll hunt. We'll do a waterfowl hunt. And, you know, sometimes we get done early. Sometimes we hunt till 10:30. But anyway, then we come back and have a big old spread lunch. And at that point, the clients have an option to do an upland hunt. So like they can hunt pheasant or chucker. And we have a wild population up there, big wild population, but we do put out birds. You know, they have an option to do an afternoon hunt, or they have an option, upland hunt, or they have an option to do another waterfowl hunt. So if we hunted geese that morning, they can go hunt ducks that afternoon. And then, you know, same deal. They come back, have a wonderful dinner, and then the next morning go on a hunt, have lunch, you know, and then get ready to head out. Or if they're staying 3 days, you know, we just repeat. So it's a great time, man. There's never any downtime, you know. It's a blast. And that's what we wanted to do, was create an experience that can make up for. I mean, you're hunting a wild bird, right? So it's not like something we can control every day. But we do have we've leased about 380,000 acres in north central Oklahoma, and so we have the opportunity to kill the birds, you know, if they're there, and we're going to find them because we have 7 people every morning and every evening scouting. So they're finding our next hunts for the days coming up. They're out there working their tails off, and you know, just staying ahead of that and staying with it, because that experience is great and it's fantastic. And I do think we have that down, but we work real hard to put you in front of birds, right, every day.
We definitely have the opportunity to
yeah.
see some birds. So
that's right.
So like, I know in like the deer hunting world, you know, there's kind of like a split between people who, like, you know, I do all my self-guided hunts. They have some kind of moral high ground on that. And then, you know, people that guide, they have something to say about that. Is it the same way when it comes to, you know, waterfowl hunting? Do people say like, oh, you know, if you're going with the guide, it's not real waterfowl hunting?
Absolutely. And I would tell them that they never waterfowl hunted. So yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, there are those people that don't like to be, you know, with a guide or, you know, whatever. And that's great. You know, that's not our clientele. Our clientele is, you know, I would say 70% big companies that are bringing really important clients, and they don't want to have to think about the hunting side of it. They're entertaining their clients and they're getting big business deals done. And they know that they're going to have fantastic food and great accommodations and, you know, great service. That's what we really harp with everybody. If you see somebody and they have a drink that's almost empty, you go say, hey, can I refill your drink? You know, I mean, you don't ever stop serving, because that's what they're paying you to be there to do for them. So anyway, so yeah, it's our clientele is not the person that wants to self-guide. Now, I will say we have had those attitudes come in the door, And a lot of times after the first hunt, they're like, okay, I don't care if you guide me. Let's do that again tomorrow.
Right.
You know, I don't care.
Yeah, I know like here in South Dakota we have guys like especially last weekend, no 2 weekends ago it was opening weekend for pheasant, and we was out in winter South Dakota, which is like the pheasant capital of the world here in
Hmm.
South Dakota anyway. You got all these private jets all lined up and everything, and these guys going to lodge and um there's a family that I know they have a huge lodge out in Ideal, South Dakota, and I mean, they have guys coming from everywhere, and it's like people like you just said, people from New York that they're entertaining clients. They're not trying to worry about the hunting. I don't have a big grip about it. Even with deer hunting, if you want to take a guide, go with a guide. Hunting is
Dang
hard.
right.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is not
And if
what
you're
you
just
think.
getting into it, you should have no ego. You
Exactly.
should be you should be going with people that know what the heck they're doing, and you should be watching them and asking questions. I love that. I love it when people come and they're like, man, now why'd you do that? Now, why did you set up here for this wind, or why are you frustrated that there's no sun? I mean, I love answering those questions because again, what we're doing, we're turning the light bulb on for people.
Yep.
I want them to be able to go back to where they're from and be able to do it on their own. I want that because then that's going to affect their kids or their friends and their friends' kids and their friend's dad, like you talking about. Then they can go back and create those experiences for themselves. I love it.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I kind of want to do. Like I went out on a public land elk hunt, was unsuccessful. But like my next hunt, I want to go with a guide, and not necessarily to just. I want to kill an elk, but I really want to go and get and pick their brain. Like, hey,
Hmm.
why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And just basically become a sponge. That way, when I go out by myself, I've taken everything this dude told me, and now I'm applying it, and hopefully be successful on my own.
That's exactly right. That's what it's about.
So I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true or not. So you can
Uh
fill me
oh.
in. You can fill me
All right.
in. All right. So I duck hunted for the first time back in like 2013. I know I say 2012. And there was a guy that I went hunting with, and he told me that Budweiser put $1 million ban on a duck, and that duck is flying around somewhere in Arkansas or around. Is that true or not?
Man,
Because I have not found
I will
anything
tell you
online.
that I have heard the same rumor, and I ain't seen it yet. I ain't heard about it yet. I don't know. And what's funny is we used to at my dad's lodge, we used to hunt Anheuser Busch, and I think Dad asked them about it, and they were kind of weird, but they're like, "Oh, you hadn't seen it yet," like kind of made me think I don't really think there's $1 million band up there, but hopefully that duck's still alive because he's getting pretty old if he, if he
That
ain't
is
already
true.
dead somewhere in the ditch. Yeah,
I think that tag is in the bottom of a coyote's
I,
stomach.
I was gonna say he's coyote poop or eagle poop.
Right.
He's gone. That's right.
But is that and then I heard another rumor that if you go duck hunting with a guide, that if you kill a banned duck, that the guide gets the ban, the person who shot it don't get the ban. Is that true?
Woo! Now you're hitting a hot spot, hot button there, bud. Uh, at our lodge, what we tell people, because most of the time we have people that don't hunt unless they're with us. Um, if it's a legit hunter, so I mean, I've given several bands away, like probably five since we've been at Fowlco. But those times have been when there's no question who shot that bird.
Right.
Like there's one dude and everybody's like, "Hey, Jim, get up and shoot that duck," and he shoots it, and my dog brings it back and it's banded. There's no question,
Yeah,
right?
that's
He
the
shot
genius
that bird.
then.
But if you're in a blind with 8 people and everybody's boom, 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 shooting, and nobody really knows who shot what, and we're cleaning up, and there's 7 birds out there, and there's 8 people. I mean, then you start hearing, "Oh, well, I do think I shot that mallard," It was right over here, wasn't it? And you're like, man,
They
no.
they was in a
So
group, man.
so what we do, what we do at Falco, and we're pretty upfront about it. Not pretty, we're very upfront about it. Unless we know that you shot that bird, there's no question. It does get split up within our guides that work
Mm,
for us, that work their butts off, and don't make a whole ton of money. And the biggest tip they could ever have would be a band on a hunt that they found all those birds at that spot. They've been patterning those birds for 3 days and watching them. And then finally they say, hey, we need to hunt those birds tomorrow.
yeah.
And it works out. That's their reward. And so, there's a lot of guides that are like, oh, let's slide that behind the back and take that band off the leg, without anybody seeing. What we say is, hey, we want you. That's exciting. Let's take pictures with it. Everybody get a picture with the band. But, one of our guides is going to get that band that worked their butt off all year from November 1st all the way through February into March. They're going to have that because that's their biggest reward.
Oh heck yeah! I've
Uh,
always said that if I ever go on a guided hunt, especially an elk hunt, and my guide puts me on a world record elk, I'm gonna keep the mount, but I will
mhm.
name the elk after you. Your name is Jim Bob. It's gonna be the Jim
Uh,
Bob. Well, name it
there's
after you.
Donnie.
Yeah.
There's Donnie up on the wall right there.
No, I mean, like
That's
even
good. You're right.
in the record book, it won't be the Trey Reed elk. It'll be the um, Michael
Yeah.
Brown elk. It'll be named after you.
Yeah.
You put me on that elk, but like I don't see an issue with it, man. Because like without the guide, you wouldn't have got that bird anyways.
Man, that's all right. And we work so hard on, relationships with our farmers that even allowed us to be on that place at that time. And it's not just we don't just show up during waterfowl season and everything's good. I mean, it's a lot of work throughout the year getting there, right? And
Right.
so there's so much work that's put into that, you know, for somebody to come in and, hey, hurry up and give me my band so I can go back to the lodge and have a glass of bourbon. We don't play that. I mean, like, we worked our butts off, and one of our guides that works their butt off is going to get that band. And we have a draw system. And then after the first draw, it's the next guide in line gets the next band. It's just everybody gets one if
Right.
if we kill one throughout the year.
Oh, that's nice. Because I've always heard you like, man, you don't want to go on a duck hunt because if you kill a duck with a band, you don't get it. The guy does. I'm like, that's not true. But now that you broke it down to me, it makes sense.
Yeah, it
It
does
makes
make sense, man. It does make sense. It's kind of that that entitled environment that we live in, though.
yeah.
You know, it's just like what I'm talking about. Like when 8 dudes shoot, I'm not shooting. I'm sitting there calling whatever, unless they ask me to shoot. But eight guys shoot and 7 birds fall. I'm not going to be like, well, yeah, I do think, you know, John, I think you killed that bird. I'm not going to. Then everybody else is mad. But
Exactly.
if you just clearly up front say, hey guys, if a band is killed, we're going to celebrate. We're going to have a drink when we get back. We're going to cheers that bird, and we can all take pictures. But a Tanner Grubbs or a Josh Farley or a Hunter Riley or these guys that I'm talking about that are working their butts off, they gonna get the reward.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So a couple weeks ago, I did a show with Jonathan Wilkins of Black Duck Revival. Do you know?
Yeah, Black Dog Revival. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard of him.
yeah. I did a show with Jonathan Wilkins, and he was giving us all the different things you can do with a duck. He was like, "Hey, look, if you take, one mallet," he gave us, I bet you 15, 20 different things you can do with a duck. What are some of your favorite things to cook with a duck? Like when you get a mallard or a geese or a goose. I'm sorry, a goose.
Hmm.
What do you like to do with it?
Yeah, so a lot of people are scared about waterfowl. They think it's nasty, it's tough. It's because they're overcooking all of it.
Exactly.
And and the fat that fat that's on the duck is delicious. It's some of the best fat you can even cook with, do anything with. Um, um, Duck more people eat, but goose is more what I'm talking about. That's when people get kind of like, yeah, I don't want to eat a goose. But Our chef at Fowlco, he makes the best duck and goose I've ever had.
Mhm.
And all he does is he marinates it for about 30 minutes in a high sodium marinade. So like maybe some Dales or, something that has a lot of high sodium content. And then he cooks it medium rare to medium rare. And if you go over rare to medium rare, you've overcooked it. It's not going to be good. But if you hit that sweet spot of rare to medium rare, it is like the best steak you've ever had. And you gotta, I mean, he just cooks it, sears it, you know. Um, I mean, obviously, what I like to do the duck poppers, where you take the cream cheese and the jalapeno
Bacon
and
and
the
all that.
bacon,
Yep,
and
all that.
I like to marinate in Italian dressing. I mean, I still love that. But I have learned over the years a better way to cook it. And a lot of people, when they breast their ducks, they peel all the fat off and just get the meat. Well, the best way to do it is to pluck that breast, get all the feathers off, and cut those breasts out with the fat on them.
Ooh, and
And
get
then
all
you can,
crispy.
yes, and you can sear that duck fat side down first and get it good and crispy, and then flip it over, and it's delicious.
I love it. My senior year at Southern Arkansas, I lived with a guy named Rex Hayes, and Rex was like, "Yo, I'm gonna take you duck hunting." I'm like, "All right, let's go." So we went out, and I don't know anything about ducks, so we're shooting mallards. We shot some coots, some like we shot a bunch of different ducks,
Yeah.
and we get to the house, and he he took the hearts and the gizzards out. And he's like, we're gonna do all this other stuff later, but we're gonna eat the hearts and the gizzards. I'm like, I ain't eating none of that, man. I'm not eating that. I'm not eating this. And he cooked that heart up, and it was so good. I'm like, bro, I was like, bro, it's raw. He goes, it's not raw. He goes, just try it. For some odd reason, Rex is able to get me to do stuff that like out my comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's why he's one of my best friends today. And duck heart is one of the best meals I've ever had. Little appetizer. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I've had
I
it. I've had it
love it.
before, and it is good.
I love it. Like
It is
he's
good.
had me eat duck heart. I've tried uh deer heart with him. Like he's all about the organs. And
Mm-hmm.
even when it came to the breast, when for all I know, cooking breast, you wrap that you soak that joker in Italian dressing, cream cheese, bacon, boom, you poppers. He's like, nah, man, I'm gonna sear it. I'm gonna take this red wine. I'm gonna reduce it down, make a
Mm.
glaze,
Oh,
and
he's doing it.
he was doing it big, and it was like the best thing ever. And I'm like, yo, there's like when it comes to wild game, especially like duck and deer,
All
I
right.
feel like
Hold on.
we like limit ourselves. What happened?
Hold on. For some reason, I got a phone call or something, and it kicked me. There we go.
Oh, it's all good. You never
Let me
left.
turn this. Let me turn this phone off. Oh, I didn't leave.
Oh, you
I
never left.
lost you on
All
my
good.
computer.
But when it comes to like culinary styles, when it comes to like wild game, like I feel like sometimes we're like we limit ourselves. And
Yeah.
when he cooked up that breast with that red wine glaze, oh my goodness. Mm, 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 mm.
It sounds to me like your boy Rex was the meat eater before Steve Ranella.
I think he was. Like he like sitting around a campfire with him, he was like, "Man, I wonder what a coyote would taste like." And I'm like, "Bro, that's a dog."
Hey, I'm not going to say who, but in the waterfowl world, everybody knows this guy. And he showed up to Falco last year, and he's from way up north. And he goes, JD, he calls me JD. He goes, JD, you ever eat timber wolf? And I was like, no, I never ate dog. He goes, we're going to tonight. And he cooked timber wolf backstrap. And I'm not going to lie, it was real good.
Like, what's the taste profile?
I mean, it tasted like a deer backstrap. I mean, it was good. And he said to me, he said, that's literally the most venison you've ever eaten in one bite. I was like, you're right. Thinking about all the deer and stuff that cow or that wolf had eaten, that was the most venison I've ever had in one bite. But Yeah, man. I think people just have stigmas about different meats. Look, I
Yeah,
mean, it's all meat, you
that's
know.
it.
There's a
That's
lot of
it.
people that like bear. There's a lot of people that like moose. There's a lot of other people that don't like the flavor. But you know, when I was in Alaska this year, and uh, you know, all the guys up there they love moose. And I was like, man, I'm not a huge fan, but that's what's uh, familiar to them. They knew it.
Right.
They knew that flavor. It was nostalgic. They've always eaten it. So anyway,
Moose. I see. That's on my bucket list. Like I want to get a moose. Uh, I'll be going to Alaska. Not Alaska. I'll be going to Canada next August or this upcoming August. I'll be going to Canada to hunt black bear. So I'm super
yes, sir.
excited. I booked that trip back in like 2019, and then COVID happened, and then they had the
Oh,
border shut down. I couldn't get in, so it was like, you know what? Keep pushing it back. Finally, I can get in. Going to
yep.
hunt my bear. Yo,
You're
but
free now.
yeah, I'm free now, y'all. I'm gonna be able to get up there
Yeah,
now.
you can get in
But
there.
moose, I went to Canada back in 2016, and we saw a moose on the side of the road. I didn't realize how big they were. Like, you
Oh,
see them
they're
on
giant.
TV. TV don't do it no justice. I tell people, look here.
Mm-mm.
If you see a moose in the field on TV, it don't do it no justice. Put it next
That's
to
right.
put it next to a Ford F-250, and then you see that moose, and you realize how big he is.
Yeah, he's giant. We saw several. You know, when we were in Canada, we were in Alaska. I remember we were going from Homer, which is Ketchimak Bay. That's where like the deadliest catch boats are. You
Yeah,
know, and we were going from there back to Soldotna, where my wife's cousin lives. And, you know, we were seeing them on the side of the road like we see deer, you know, down here, except they weren't deer. You're right. It was like an F 150 creeping through the, you know, the
yeah,
sage grass and everything coming up next to the road. And there's moose warning signs everywhere, like beware of moose. Like that's going to hit a little different than a whitetail. That brush
exactly.
guard ain't going to help you.
Yeah, it's gonna tear the whole
You're going to
truck up.
stop. You're going to stop.
Last year Nick went to Colorado, and he was like, "Hey man, I saw a moose." And he sent me the video, and he was like, "Yeah, man, he goes, I thought you said they were big." I said, "Bro, them is babies."
Yeah,
I said,
that ain't a
I
full
said,
grown one.
I said, them bulls you saw, them are them probably like two, maybe 3-year-old babies. I said, and you see how big he is. Go find you a 5, 6-year-old bull. That joker looked like a truck, man.
Yeah, he big.
It's
He
big.
big. He's different.
Exactly. So, have you ever thought about going on any kind of like big game hunts, like
Oh man,
grizzly
yeah.
or anything like that?
I you know, the bears, I'm not as there's something in me. I'm not I'm not dying to kill a bear.
Yeah,
I do want to kill an elk. I'd love to kill a moose. I'd love to kill a caribou. Um, I'm sure eventually I'd love to kill a bear, a big old grizzly. I mean, that'd be fun. Um, I just have heard horror story. I've heard my buddies talk about shooting black bears in Arkansas with a bow, you know, and it says they just sound like a grown man dying out in the woods,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
that death moan.
a death moan. And they're like, it's weird. I don't know. I don't know. I might one day get all into that, but not
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
it's wild. There's a guy out west in Rapid City, South Dakota. That's where Mount Rushmore is.
Hmm.
2 years ago, was it? Yeah, 2 years ago, me, Nick, my buddy Rex, we go out the Total Archery Challenge. This is when Nick first got introduced to archery, and he thought that he didn't have to practice all year long. He was just gonna show up the day
Oh,
of.
he's just already great.
Yeah, he's already great.
Uh huh.
So of course I give him, because I had just bought a new bow, so I give him my old bow. He lost. I gave him like 25 arrows. He lost those within the first like 5 targets. They were gone. Because if you know anything about tech is not like easy. It's not like 15, 20 yard shots. You're doing 60, 70, 80 yard shots.
Yeah.
So of course, he lost the arrows. So we had to go to an archery shop, and there's a spot out there called Black Hills Archery. So we go in, and I've never been in there before. So go in, and there's a guy that owns it named Al. So we're talking to Al, and he's all cool. He's like, "Hey, I killed the third largest grizzly bear in the world." And I'm like, "You ain't killed the third largest." He's like, "Nah, I really did." I'm like, "No, you didn't." He was, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "I'll show you the video." John David, let me tell you, he got a video. He shows it. He's up against this rock, and all you see is the back of this grizzly bear coming like down this trail. He's 90 feet away from the grizzly bear. He lets the arrow fly. Woo, and you hear this sound. It sounds like the most prehistoric animal ever. I mean, it just gives this roar out.
Mm.
The cameraman drops the camera and dips out. Like, nah, I can't do this. Dip out. And then the video ends. And I'm
Uh-uh.
like you killed
What
that?
did you?
He
Did the
goes,
camera
oh.
guy die? I mean, yeah.
Mm. He was that scared because they didn't know where the grizzly went. He like
Ugh.
took off. So it was like, I can't do this. So check it. The grizzly bear burrowed itself into this like thicket. So he was like, we all had to decide who's gonna crawl in the thicket to see if he was dead because he didn't give a death moan, so they didn't know if he was dead or not.
Mm, mm,
Nah,
mm,
man. So he showed us a picture of the mount standing on his two front. He got it mounted, standing on his two front feet with his like hands out. That bear stands at 7 foot 5 inches.
I'm with the camera guy.
I'm with the cameraman.
I'm with the camera guy. I'm high
I'm,
knees and
I'm with the cameraman. Could you
yeah.
imagine a grizzly
Y'all
bear?
holler at me. Y'all holler at me when that beast is dead. I'll come look at it. Yeah, I'm with the camera guy.
Could you imagine a grizzly bear that stands up at 7'5"? LeBron is what, 7'2"?
Yeah. Yeah, Shaq. I mean,
So,
think about Shaq.
so this bear on 2 feet is bigger than Shaq.
Mm-mm.
And he showed a picture of him holding the paw, and the paw covered his face. He had to like lean to the side. I mean, it's massive. I'm like, I want to hunt a bear, but I don't want to hunt anything like that. Like, I mean, I
No.
just read a story about some guys. They're wrestlers at the University of Wyoming,
Saw it.
and they beat.
I read the same story.
They had to fight off a grizzly. Like, nah, I don't want no part of that.
That wrestler jumped and saved his buddy's life.
Hey, he
That's a big deal.
He owed that dude a bunch of drinks at the bar.
Oh man. And he got turned up too. I mean, he like that picture of them laying in the bed and his face is mangled and sewn back together, and that you could tell where he bit his arm a couple places, and
like, man,
yeah, that's different.
I
did have a run in with a big bear on my elk hunt.
How was that?
At about 10 yards. And I didn't realize how big the bear was. I was hunting a waller, so you could see this. There was a spring where these elk were rolling around in the water. And when we were walking down in this drainage, we saw two of them. And I was up top, and my buddy Steven was down below me on another one, elevation-wise, about 200 feet below me. And I had been sitting there for 4 hours up on this little knoll overlooking it at 10 yards. And there was some thick spruce trees to my left, and I saw something brown coming. It was brown, and it was coming through behind the spruce trees. So I drew my bow back. I thought it was a cow, and this was the second to last day. So I was like, cow or bull. I had an over-the-counter either sex tag, fully drawn on it. It steps out, and Joker was not an elk; it was a bear, and it was 10 yards from me. And I put the bow down and got my pistol on my front pack, I had my pistol below my binocular harness, got it out and drew down on the bear and was talking and moving around. And that dude just stared me down. I'll send you the video here in a little bit.
Right.
When that bear finally backed up to about 50 yards, I felt comfortable videoing it. But I think that Steven, 200 feet below me, could hear my heart beating. And I think that's why he came up there to me. That was intense. So just from that little run in, I'm not going into the thicket to see if the bear's dead.
No, not.
There's another level of reverence that I have for that animal.
Yo, matter of fact, speaking of reverence, I watched the movie The Reverence with Leonardo DiCaprio, and when I saw how that grizzly attacked him, like, this is a movie, and the movies kind of they kind of dumb it down for the public. I know a real grizzly attack would be way more gruesome than that.
And they did a pretty good job at making that realistic. So imagine the real thing happened. No,
yeah, I don't want no part of that. But I wouldn't mind getting one, but I don't.
Mm,
Even though I am the dreaded archer, if I go hunt for grizzly bear, it's gonna be with a rifle. I'm not. I'm
yeah,
not. I don't want it to be 15, 20 yards. That's too close. That's too close for me.
you'll get there. I
Oh
bet
yeah,
you will.
yeah.
I
One
bet you
day,
will. Kill one
there.
with your rifle. Kill a couple with your rifle first. You'll be hunting them. I know
Yeah.
you. You'll be hunting them with your bow.
Well. Let me. I gotta get this black bear first, and then I'll switch to
Yeah,
rifle. You know what I'm saying?
there
With
you
that
go.
switch to archery with the grizzly.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
I interviewed a guy. Oh, it was probably a couple weeks ago. Tyler Pressler. He is. I think he's 34, 35, but he is going for his North American Super 10. You ever heard of that?
Uh-uh.
So North American Super 10, you have to kill a deer, a elk, a moose, a caribou, a bear, a mountain lion, a sheep, a goat, an antelope, and a bison or a muck ox. He's got 6 of the 10 already, and he's like
Dang.
right now. Yeah, right now he's in Alaska shooting blacktail. I'm like, bro, how you like? What you gonna do when you get to this bear situation? He's like, I'm ready for it, man. He's like, I'm ready for it. I'm like, hey, but the super slams are pretty cool. I would never get a super slam because you got to kill like 29 species, and
Yeah,
I only kill stuff that I eat. And if you like, I think
yeah,
they got polar
same.
bear on that list, and it's
Yeah,
like I don't want to kill a polar bear and take a picture with it and not get to bring the
no,
meat. I don't want
that's
nothing like
right.
that. Yep. And
That's right. I'm with you. I'm with you. I like to shoot stuff I'm gonna eat.
yep,
You
I
know,
want to be able to put it
like
on the
tonight
grill.
we're eating deer chili. I mean, like we eat a lot of the food, you know, that I kill,
Y'all making
that we
cornbread?
kill.
Got cornbread in it?
No, no, dude. I'm working on my fitness, so I'm trying not to hit the
No
cornbread.
carbs?
No, my wife has made a paleo chili, so that's what we're eating.
Mm, that'd be
Mm-hmm.
good. That'd be real good.
It's gonna be healthy.
I need that cornbread with the
Yeah,
honey.
I mean, usually I do too with that butter and honey on it. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, you come to Falco, you're gonna have the best cornbread you ever had.
Bro, I'm gonna come, man. I'm gonna come down
You
to
gotta
Falco.
come.
We gonna hunt, man. You're gonna
Come
do it.
on. Let's do it.
Bring Nick and see how good he
Oh
is with
God.
his shotgun.
His big butt in a blind. I gotta find a chair that'll fit him.
Right. Hey, I was talking to him Saturday because I like he wants to film me on a elk hunt, and there's a
Hmm.
guy that I've been talking to over in Colorado, so I'm gonna go and do elk hunt. But in order for you to be able to go with them, you gotta be 260 or below. And I was like, hey man, if you want to go, you gotta be 260. He's like, what? I'm like, where you at right
Yeah,
now? He goes, man, I'm probably like 285, 290. I'm like, you don't have to
I
come down.
was too. You gotta cut it. I'm
You
gonna
gotta
tell
do
you, it
it.
hits different. It hits different when you're up there in the mountains. You
Well,
know.
let me tell you, check this out. So I told the story before in the podcast. So last September, going to elk hunt. So from Sioux Falls to Montrose, Montrose, Colorado is probably
All
like
right.
13 hours. And then my buddy's coming from El Dorado, Arkansas. So I think he's at about, I think 11, 12 hours, somewhere around there. As soon as we pull in, he's like, let's go. So I'm like, man, we just drove, a couple hours, but yeah, let's do it. So put the packs on, pow, pow, pow. We hike in. We get about 15, 20 minutes up this side of this ridge. I thought I was gonna die. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I had worked out up until the hunt, but no, 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 no. I didn't account for the altitude, and I'm like, bruh, I think I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah, there's no oxygen. So
I'm
my
like, bro,
buddy that I went with, he's a freaking Navy SEAL. I'm following a freaking Navy SEAL up the side of mountains. And
also,
so
yeah,
he had me on a training regiment leading up to it. And he said, look, you need to get on that stair climber for 45 minutes a day between this level and this level. And you only breathe out of your nose. Get to where
ooh,
you can do it for 45 minutes. You only breathe out of your nose. Do not breathe out of your mouth. Breathe in with your mouth. And he said that's what we used to do on the teams to get ready. They had masks, but essentially to get ready to be in a place with low oxygen at high elevation.
Yeah.
And I did that leading up to it. And I will tell you, the first day I was still pretty worn out, but then I got acclimated and I got to where I was able to keep up with him. Now, if he watches this, he's gonna laugh because I just said I kept up with him, but I didn't die. I didn't die. I made it. We did about 54 miles total on our hunt, and we camped somewhere new every night. So we were carrying all of our food and all of our sleeping gear and our bows and all of our stuff. And I stayed with him, but it's that is you're right. That's so important. If you're going to do that, you have got to be physically prepared to do it because it is very challenging.
Yep, you gotta be.
But
Yeah.
that's part of that's part of the rewarding part of it.
Oh yeah. I told my buddy Rex. I said, "Look, man. I said I've been through some of the most rigorous football trainings ever.
Hmm.
I pushed my body to the limit, and in going on this elk hunt, I've never been pushed that far. Like my body was like, bro, we cannot go any further. Like
Yeah.
we've been to this point before, but we haven't been beyond it, and we have
Yeah.
this hunt has pushed it. And there was days where
Yeah.
I was like, I can't make it. There's no way. But just just gotta keep pushing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
You're right,
like if you had to tell somebody
hmm
what does hunting mean to you, like altogether,
man. Hey, sweetheart. One of my beautiful daughters just came in to get some deer chili.
right?
um,
Save me a bowl.
that's right, man. That's a hard question. I think there's a lot of feelings wrapped up in that. Um, the nostalgia of watching, growing up, getting to hunt with my dad, and really getting introduced to it by a really savage hunter, like somebody like truly to this day. I'm around professional hunters a lot now in my business and people that do it for a living. And every time I meet them, I'm like, whew, you need to go hunt with Kenny Blagg. He's going to teach you a thing or two. Um, I think there's a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in that. I think, like we talked about, just the ability to be quiet and be in God's creation and getting to participate and, you know, in his creation. I think that's a huge part of it. And one thing that I really love about waterfowl hunting is the relational side of it. It's just the conversations that come up and the sunrises and the sunsets and um, just the innate patterns that these animals have that nobody taught them. Nobody like said, okay, now ducks, you're gonna go. You're this year you're gonna go all the way down to Oklahoma, and then you're gonna go all the way back up to the Northwest Territories. Everything about that whole migration blows my mind and does nothing but confirm that there was a God that put that in them to do that year after
Exactly.
year after year. Um, I love the dog aspect. I love my dogs. And I think that's another really fun for me. That's a really fun side of it is watching my dogs and watching them be animals, right? Because there's a lot of times where I'm like, no, my dog's name is Tupac. And I'm like, Tupac, no. And I'm trying to cast him and he keeps blowing me off. And then he comes back with a duck and he's like, you dumb butt. If you'd have just let me, I was smelling that duck over there. If you'd let me go get it,
Let me
we'd
do
have
my
been
thing.
done. You know, I love that. I love that, like, there's just every aspect of it, man. I love it. It's my place I can get recentered and I get to do it for a living.
And dude, that's the best part right there. Doing it for a living, man.
Hmm.
Doing it for a living. For me, uh, I started hunting because after I got done playing football, I know you asked me this question before we got started,
Hmm.
like how Red Archery
Hmm.
got started. And I know people listening probably like, dude, we heard this story 1,000 times, but you know what? This is
Yeah,
my
well, you
story.
know what? I don't care about
Yeah,
them. You're my buddy, and I want to
I
hear
gotta
this.
tell it.
That's right.
So once I got done playing football and I moved back home, I fell into like this real deep depression. Like it was I was missing something.
Mhm.
Like you know that feeling like right around June and July, you start getting ready for fall camp. You know that feeling like
Mhm.
this time, your body like, hey man, we got something like the body clock. Like, hey, it's time for us to be prepping, and it wasn't there. Like I had nothing to prep for, and I got into this like deep depression, and then you put that on top of. Then I left Texarkana and moved to South Dakota, so now I'm like away from my family. It's negative 13 degrees. You got 12 inches
Mm.
of snow outside. It's like I'm like super depressed. So I started drinking a lot. I'm
Mhm.
very transparent. Started drinking a lot, going out every night, spending a lot of money. Just gained a whole bunch of weight, eating and drinking. That's basically all I was doing. And and then you put on top of that, like right around this time, me and my dad wasn't having the best relationship. Me and my brother, we were good, but my brother didn't have the best relationship with our dad. So now he's like calling me, talking about our dad, of course, and it's like all this is just all this is building up.
Mhm.
So on my route that I work, there's this archery shop that's like off the side of the road, like off the interstate, and I would drive by it, and it didn't have well at the time I didn't see the name. It's just a big sign that says archery shop. So I'm like, that's weird. It's the kind of it's off the road. The shop you can't even see the shop. It's covered by
Yeah.
trees and stuff. So I'm like, hmm, like what is that? Of course, you know, never go into it. And then one day, driving by, it was like Friday afternoon, and it's like someone's like, "Hey, turn down that dirt road and go see what that is." So I'm like, I got some time on my hands, so I drive down, but the gate is closed. They're closed for the day. So I'm like, I won't be going there. I guess I wasn't supposed to go in there.
Mm.
Saturday morning, I wake up and something's like, "Yo, go back to the archery shop." So I'm like, "All right." So get the next morning, get up, go to the gym, and I go to the archery shop, and I walk in. And as soon as I walk in, it's not like what I think. It's just like they got deer heads everywhere and all kind of. It's just real rustic. And the owner's like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Like, how can I help you?" I'm like, "Oh man," I was like, "Dude, I've been driving past this bad boy for the last like 3 or 4 months, and I just had to pull in here." So he was like, "Well, are you familiar with archery?" I'm like, "No clue, none at all." So he shows me around. He's showing me different bows and kind of giving me the history. He starts talking about Fred Bear, and I mean,
Mhm.
he'd give me the rundown. Like if there was like a beginner archery course, this guy was giving to me right then and there. So he was like, "Well, come over here. Let's go to the range and I'll shoot this bow real quick." So I'm like, "All right." So he set it up to my draw length and everything, and I shot like 3 or 4 shots. And they was like way off. Like I had no idea what I was doing. And he was like messing with the sight, and the first time, boom, I hit the bullseye. And I'm like, "Oh, I like that." And hit the bullseye again. So he pushed it back to about 15 yards. I hit the bullseye again. He started tinkering with it, pushed it back to about 20 yards. Boom, hit the bullseye again. And then I get some really nice group. He goes, "You've done this before?" I'm like, "Nah, I haven't. This is literally my first time." He goes, "Oh, you pretty good at it." And so we get done. I'm sitting there chatting with him for a little bit, and he's giving me the history. Then his wife comes up and she's talking, and then he got some other people in the shop, and we're all talking. And one guy's like, "You own a bow?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't own one." He was like, "Let's get you one." And I'm like, "Okay." So we go and we looking at all these different bows, and I touched one, and it was like it just felt good in my hands. Like, I like this one. Boom, we bought it, set it up, and I got my arrows and started shooting it. And I got to the archery shop at like maybe nine. I say 9:30 that morning. I didn't leave till like 8 o'clock that night. I stayed there
Mm.
all day long, just chatting and shooting. And I went home and I just looked at the bow, and it was just weird. The next morning, I got up, went to the shop, and I shot all day from the time they opened to the time they closed. My arm, shoulder sore, but I'm just shooting because I'm feeling some that void that I had.
Mm.
It was it felt like it was getting filled up,
Mm.
and I was like, I like this. Like I really like this. So I had shot a deer the year before with a rifle. I never been out with a bow. and the guy was like, "Hey, you should go hunting." And I was like, "Okay." So get my tag. I go out and I kill two doe deer, and not just two doe. I killed two doe at the. I had two tags. I shot one doe. She ran, fell down, and then as I was going to get her, another doe came up, and I was like, "Well, I got two tags. I shouldn't." Hindsight 2020, I shouldn't have done it because I didn't realize. Oh shit!
The
I
whole
gotta take,
season's over.
I gotta take these, I gotta take these back, and my season's over.
Yeah.
But I did it, and that feeling, like I've played in front of a lot of people, football,
Mm-hmm.
and that feeling I said earlier in the show, that feeling that you get, it don't, it doesn't cap what harvesting an animal does. And then taking that animal, getting home, breaking it down, and then cooking on the grill. And then like a couple weeks later, my dad and brother came up, and I got that back strap on the grill, and I got it all seasoned up and on the smoker and everything. Take it out, perfect medium rare, slice it up,
Mm,
and sitting around the table with my dad and my brother, and we talking about this deer that I just killed, and like we eating it, and it did something
mm-hmm.
to me. It did something to me, and people like, bro, I don't understand how you do that. Now I'm getting a little long winded, but this is my story. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely.
They're like, I don't how you do that. I'm like, I just do it. Like I don't know it. Like once I shot that bow, it it brought this like something like, yo, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is
Mm-hmm.
like all my ancestors that go way back to the caveman times that was out killing, T Rexes and Tyrannosaurus, not Tyrannosaurus, but Triceratops and all that. It came back to me, and I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And to the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, do you remember Kennard Henderson?
Oh yeah, I remember
Kennard called.
Kanar.
Kennard called. He was like, "Bro, I've been listening to your podcast. I gotta get me a bow." Like
Yeah.
he's feeling his urge now, and that's how the dreaded archer came about. Like, yeah, I wonder if there's people out there like me who's dealing with some kind of depression,
Mm,
or they're trying to find something to feel, something that they're missing. Maybe Arthur can help them. So I just started reaching out
mm-hmm.
to different. It started out with former athletes. So I started talking to former athletes who found hunting, and then just kind of branched off into just talking to all hunters because I want to know everybody's story. How'd you get
Mm-hmm.
involved? You know what I'm saying? And it it's just been it's been a wild ride, and man, I've just enjoyed all of it, man. I don't,
I love it.
it's just wild, man.
I love how that came out of left field for you too. You
Yeah,
know what I
it
mean? Like you just had this feeling like, man, I need to pull in there. And you
yep.
kept putting it off, kept putting it off. And then finally you did. You were like, all right, yeah, I will. And it really kind of changed the trajectory of your hobbies and your interest. And what healthier hobby and interest can you have than killing and consuming wild game?
Exactly.
Right. I mean, there's not a lot of, I mean, from every aspect, from the emotional to the just spiritual and the mental, physical, every aspect of your life, it demands your attention in that area at that time.
Oh yeah.
And it's a good place to put it.
Oh, it's a good place, and it's wild because like when I harvested my first doe, I like cried, and I'm like, why am I
Mm.
crying? I was like, this is weird. Like this is my first doe with a bow. Like when I harvested a doe with my rifle, I didn't cry. It was like,
Yeah.
it's over with. But with that bow, it was like it was so close, and it's one of those things where when people ask me what archery's like what's archery hunting like, I'm like, it's real intimate. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you have the animal, 20, 15 yards away from you, and you can hear them eating and you see them
Mm-hmm.
interacting in their habitat, it's real intimate. Like it's because it's close. They don't
That's
know
right.
they don't know you're there, and then you boom, you let the arrow fly and it hits. Like you watch everything happen, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like that's a life taking. You just taking a life, but you're gonna consume it like that. It's not like you're just taking it and it's over with. Like
That's
you're
right.
gonna go home, you're gonna prepare it, you're gonna process it, you're gonna feed to your family, you're gonna share it with friends, and then you got that story. Because people,
That's
whenever you
right.
give somebody, hear me, because I'm in and out of gas stations all the time, and I'm talking to people, and
Hmm.
people know that I hunt. Hey man, let me have some jerky. If I got some extra jerky or extra backstrap, I'll share it because that's what it's about.
Yeah,
It's about you know sharing it with people, and
that's
and
right.
when you share it, that story comes up. Hey man, how you get this? Oh, let me tell you about the story. And now you're there for
Hmm.
20, 30 minutes telling the story, and then that person goes on, and next thing you know, when they're cooking that deer meat for their family, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, where you get this from?" Oh, this guy at the gas station. Yeah, he got it, and then he tells the story, and that story just kind of gets go passed down,
Hmm.
on. And it's a whole process. I know hunters get a bad rap. People, I had a lady on my Instagram. She goes, "Oh, you're just a whack person that takes animals for fun." Like, nah, I don't just take them for fun. This is a very emotional process, and it's to feed my family and friends.
Yeah,
It's
those
what it is.
people have never experienced it.
Nope, not at all. And I want to bridge that gap. Like, there's people that are so against hunting, and when they
Hmm.
get on talking to me, they're like, "Yo, I never thought about it like that." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Hmm.
it's it's a whole different thing. It's not just going out and taking the animal's life and putting the head on the wall and that's it. Like, no, it's a whole process.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast we could go into right
Right.
there.
Oh,
But that's a Yeah, but that is a story that we need to change as a group of collective hunters. Um, social media is a great tool, but it has turned hunting into more of a pile pick or a picture to put on
yep.
the internet than the actual story is. The how
Exactly.
you got there with that picture, or um, I think we need to tell more of that emotional side of the hunting.
Oh,
Because that is a problem.
you know, last year, and I don't know if you listened to the podcast before, but there was a guy that I had on named Rob McAfee,
Okay.
Rob Mahaffey. I'm sorry, and Rob hit me up on Instagram. Matter of fact, this time last year, he was like, "Hey, you're in South Dakota." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I want. Have you ever been on an antelope hunt?" I'm like, "Nope, never thought about it. I didn't even know South Dakota had antelope. That's how
Hmm.
green I was."
Yeah.
Like, let's go on one. And I'm like, "Bro, I don't know you. Like, you just hit me up you just DM me on Instagram talking about going on an antelope hunt. I don't know you."
Yeah.
So I kind of put it off for maybe a couple weeks. And then he hit me up again, was like, "Hey, you thought about the antelope hunt?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know you." So he called me. He's like, "Give me your number. I'm gonna call you." So after talking to him, I felt more comfortable, and I
Hmm.
got my antelope tag, and he took me out. I drove out to Rapid City, and we go out. And I, mind you, never met this guy in person ever. Go to his house, and I meet his family, and he's like, "Yo, let's go. Let's do this thing." So we go out, and we're just having the hardest time finding antelope. I'm like, "Man, this dude, either one, he's trying to find a spot where he gonna bury me,
Bury you.
yeah, or he just don't know anything about antelope hunting." And we finally see a buck. I'm like, "Oh man, this is it's time to it's go time." Well, the buck was on private land, so we pull out OnX maps. We find the landowner's name, do a couple Google searches, find the guy's address. Just so happens he lives like maybe 5-10 minutes away from where we were hunting. Pull up to the guy's farm. We pull up in his yard. He's outside working. He looks at us. He goes, "Which section you guys want to hunt?" He already
You
knew.
already knew.
He knew the drill. So we
Yeah.
told him. He was like, "Yeah." He goes, "People drive up and down this dirt road all day. No one ever thinks to come ask me because he owned a lot of that land out there."
Hmm.
So he gives the permission to go hunt, and we put this stock on this antelope, and boom, I get it. I had my rifle. I get it at like 78 yards. It was crazy. And well, before the hunt, before I not the hunt, but before I shot the antelope, me and Rob was sitting there like glassing and looking at him, and I kind of stepped back and I was like, what chain of events had to happen to get me? I'm a 31-year-old African American from Texarkana, Texas, and I'm hunting with this 45-year-old white guy from South Dakota. I'm like,
Yeah.
all the stuff that's going on in the world right now, because at the time the world was crazy. Like, all stuff going on
Yeah.
right now, and me and him are here together, sharing this experience, and then He like I'm. This is all going through my head, and then he looks over at me. He goes, "How good are you with that rifle?" And I'm like, I'm pretty good with it. He goes, I he had like 75 yards, and I make the shot. We go down, we get it, and take the envelope. I mean, break it down, pack it out. The guy comes, he heard the gunshot, the Mr. Bauer. He comes, picks us up, load on the back of his truck. We get to the road, and we're just talking. Now I'm thinking, how did I know this guy from Texarkana? I'm here in South Dakota with these two guys, and we're sitting there talking about hunting and everything. It all comes full circle. Like this
Mm,
thing brought me to a spot where I never thought I'd be. And then, me and Rob now we are like the best of friends. I talk to Rob maybe once or twice a week about
I love
hunting.
it.
And I went back to his house and we actually cooked up some antelope that he had killed maybe a couple of weeks before I came. And we sitting there eating antelope burgers and talking. And it was just like, man, like all this happened by the grace of God
Mm.
and hunting. It all come together, and I just hunting means so much to me now because it's brought me so close to people.
Put you with these two white dudes in South Dakota that you in the middle of nowhere that you didn't know,
Never,
and
never
you're
would have known.
having a great conversation over your antelope that you just took. You know.
Exactly. It was amazing. And when Nick came here, and he got his deer, he's actually been here 3 times, 2 visits. He's actually harvested something. The third last year he didn't get anything, but he just like, man, we two cats from Wumba, Texas, man, hunting deer in South Dakota. I'm like, bro, the Lord has brought us a long ways, man. It's a long
Yeah,
we a long ways from Texarkana.
long ways from home, but it's good.
Oh, it's amazing, man. It's amazing.
You meet some good people in this industry in hunting. You really do, and that's one of the things I really love about it. Is you all, for the most part, are pretty like-minded,
Yeah.
and people don't realize that. You know, there's a lot of stigmas, and I love it. I love that. I love that story right there.
Oh yeah,
You end up with these two random dudes in South Dakota, and now they're your buddies. And
bro.
Mr. Bowers that you're talking about, the landowner, now he's in the story. You know.
Exactly. And he said, "Hey man, anytime you guys want to hunt, y'all give me a call. Come out and because the antelope they pee on his hay bales and the cows won't eat it.
Yeah.
He goes, I got a million of these
Kill
things.
them all.
Yeah, kill them
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
Say less, my brother. I will be there.
Yes, sir. Oh,
It's amazing. Hey, you know what, man? Next year for sure. Get you to South Dakota. Me, you, and Rob
I love it.
on an
I
antelope.
love it.
We gonna make that happen, man. We gonna make it
I
happen,
love it. I would
dude.
love it.
Dude, it's like I said, we go out to Rapid City. Have you ever seen Mount Rushmore in
No,
person?
always wanted to.
Man, see Mount Rushmore, see Crazy Horse. I
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore is one of those things where you see it on pictures, you're like, ah, it's just a face, a mountain with faces on it. But then when you actually see it in person, you're like, oh wow, this is
It's
breathtaking.
incredible.
And then you see like at Mount Rushmore, they got this big monument of like all the people who died building this thing. And it's like now it even means even more like people lost their lives
Uh-huh.
building something that is gonna be like a symbol of like what America is. It it
Mm-hmm.
was wild, man.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, we gotta get a waterfowl hunt in at Falco and then an antelope hunt in South Dakota.
Like let's do it, man. Hey,
That's the first two. That's the first two.
let's do it. Hey, I'm gonna take care of you. You come to South Dakota, I'm gonna take care of you. Like
Same.
I'm gonna give you the same treatment that I give Nick and my dad when they come. You gonna get to
That's
South
what I
Dakota.
want.
We're gonna go downtown. We're gonna go to Mama's Fried in Phillies. It's a guy from Louisiana who make Philly cheesesteaks and fried chicken right in front of you. Like it's not like
Okay.
the chicken ain't pre-made. As soon as you order it, he take it out the marinade, batter it up, and boom, deep fry it right in front of you.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna hit that up, and we're gonna hop in the car. We're gonna drive out the rapid, and we're gonna do our hunting.
I love it. I'm down.
We're gonna do it, man.
I'm down.
Hey, John David, before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you and let them know how they can get their hunts at Fowlco Out.
Yeah, man. So our website is where you can book. It's falcooutfitters.com, and that's I don't know if can you see my name on here?
No,
Like, can the people see my name?
no, not on
Okay.
the Purple
All right.
TV.
So it's
Yeah.
it's it's FOWLCO, like waterfowl, Fowlco Outfitters, plural, .com, FowlcoOutfitters.com. Go to our website. There's a spot that says book. Get on there, email Riley. She'll take care of you. And come see us. Come hang out with us. Let us serve you for a couple days, you and your guests, and hopefully you have a fantastic time.
Oh, for sure. Hey, John David, man, this has been this has been
Dude,
my
this
favorite
is good.
podcast, man, because I haven't talked
This
to
is
you
good.
in a while, and I'm just
I
so
know it.
catch up with you. And hey, now that I got your number, man, don't be shocked if I text you, man, because I'll hit you up.
Well, you got to text me because you ain't texted me yet. I got to get your number.
I know.
It's up to you.
Oh, for sure, man. Hey, this is
Hey, Trey, I'm proud of you, dude. Love you a lot. And your brother Nick, your family, dude. Love y'all. Y'all mean a lot to me. And I'm just so proud of you and the steps you're taking and how you're doing it and the message you're putting out. I love it. I love it. Everything about it.
hey, I appreciate you because you that picture of you hanging up
Mm,
was my drive, man, to keep on trucking,
mm.
keep on trucking, and then when I actually got to meet you, you're a stand up guy, man. And when you told me you were gonna come on the show, I'm like, hey, this is gonna be a good one, man. It's gonna be a good one.
Oh,
Two touchdowns.
do anything for my boy Trey. I'm in.
Oh, for sure. But hey, we definitely gotta get you up in South Dakota for a hunt and a mule deer, antelope. You can't hunt elk in South Dakota because you're not a resident unless you want to buy some land up here.
Yeah. I'll come look. I'll come look.
You can come look. But other than that, hey,
Yeah.
we'll do the whole thing, man. Get us an antelope camp going on, and we'll do it big
I like it, dude. I'm down.
for sure.
Thank you.
And no problem. Hey, this has been another exciting episode of the Dreaded Archer Podcast with my boy John David Blagg of Fowlco Outfitters, and we are out.